Stephen Pierce, and you're listening to Minor Disturbance Radio.
So that, you know, the excitement of the new MDR episode fucking 12 that I post on everybody's Facebook and piss them off.
Right. XII.
Yeah. Yep. And so here we are, Minor Disturbance Radio, another fucking stellar episode about to befell on you. Is that a word, Travis?
I think it is a word, but I don't think you used it properly.
Get used to that.
Okay.
Anyway, we got episode 12 of Minor Disturbance Radio. And for the first time, we've got Jeff and Travis in the same room.
Yes.
They've just met each other tonight, actually.
Well, we met years ago.
Yeah. It was a long time ago. He remembers me. I don't remember him.
Of course.
But that doesn't...
That's how it always goes
for me.
It was the same for me, too. Well, remember, I ran into you at that wedding, and you were like, hey, man, you know, drop hammer this or whatever. And I was like...
Yeah, we hung out here, did this. You're like, what? Who? What?
Yeah, who?
It's like, wow.
Get out of my face.
I've probably smoked my body weight in pot about 6 times over since the last time we saw each other. So
your body weight, really? That's a lot of that's a lot of weed.
Well,
wow.
Plus, I mean, if you think about it, it's always it's on an incline because I keep fucking getting the munchies and getting fatter. So it's actually harder to make that nut.
You got to
actually
maintain
smoke the entire body weight.
Yeah.
Wow.
People are so uneducated about what marijuana really is and what kind of a drug it is.
Right.
And they're so confused about it. They always put it right in the same class as heroin and cocaine and all these things. You know, you tell me the last time you watched Cops and somebody that smoked a joint went out and stole somebody's purse or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're going to be at their house watching Netflix and eating Twinkies. You know what I mean? They're not going to be out rampaging in the streets because they're high. You know what I mean?
No. They're going to be going, this documentary is blowing my fucking mind.
You know, and so for the use of that, if we talk about the use of marijuana on the show, I will therefore from here on refer to it as somebody I know may or may not have done this while they were high. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, because I can say this, one time I thought, because I didn't smoke, I smoked pot. I think it's the same story for a lot of people. They smoked pot when they were very young, smoked way too much of it, and then went, whoa, I couldn't be like that all the time.
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. You're not like that all the time. Your first time of doing it, overdoing it. Because the first time I did it, it was a glass thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're called. It's a steamroller or something?
Steamroller.
So I guess I was in my buddy, well, I can't say any names.
Yeah,
I may or may not have had a buddy that had an attic that we went up there and I remember because it was his first experience with it, right?
Right.
I go, man, what's this going to do? I don't know. Never smoked pot before. Here I am, 14.
Oh, you're a late bloomer.
I'm about to, see, I was always the kid that was like, that shit makes you stupid. You know what I mean? Because all the dumb kids were always high.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? The ones that dropped out of school were at their house on their porch stoned all the time. And that can happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Happen,
I don't think that you should introduce marijuana into a child's life by any means. Wait until you're like 30, and then you can utilize it probably better. Anyway, getting back to things. When I did it the first time, it was a steamroller from whatever you call it.
Yeah.
And so this big thing, and they were like, I'm like, how do you do it? They say, well, you put your hand over the end, right? Am I right so far?
Yep, right
and
so
you
far.
light and you light the bowl,
right?
And you get a nice fire pit going in there,
yep.
and you suck on that bitch, and then once that thing fills up and it's white, you like take it, and clean the thing out, right?
Right, which of course probably caused you to cough your face off. You probably coughed until you fucking shot tears out of your eyes.
I don't remember the coughing. And as time went on, I realized that my first experience wasn't pleasurable. I mean, I literally, and I think that my buddy even may or may not have taken me to the fucking mall. After that, to see my girlfriend that worked at the cookie place.
Oh, man.
Which is brilliant. And I remember
a brilliant idea.
He got me in the car, put the seat out because I was going to throw up. I was that.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I was like, I can't even stand up.
Right.
Put me in the car, leaned the seat back, was playing Pink Floyd.
Okay, yeah, try to mellow you out.
And we're cruising to the mall where my girlfriend worked at the cookie place.
Right.
And I'm laying down, and I swear to God, hello, hello, hello. Is there anybody in there? And I was sitting in the in the passenger seat of the car going, holy
Just not if you can
I'm
hear
here.
me.
Yeah. Oh, they were talking right to me. They were like, hey. You know, it was like, I felt like I'd been abducted. You know what I mean? I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
It was that intense. Cool. And never again could I ever do that again and have that much of a reaction to it. But, you know, I guess they call that chasing the dragon.
Yeah, chasing the dragon. Now, now, not to totally divert the conversation, it isn't complete diversion, but I heard a story today, and I thought this was fantastic, that a Girl Scout, in her little entrepreneurial mind, realized, a Girl Scout in California, realized the best place to set up her little Girl Scout kiosk was right outside the dispensary.
Shops.
Exactly, man. So, and she sold some ridiculous, she sold out. She sold one box
She
a minute.
owns Girl Scouts now.
Jackpot. She does, man, pretty much. So she just, you know, it's location.
Absolutely.
Right to it, so.
Well on our way to entrepreneurship.
Yeah, which makes, you know, if you want to completely veer that conversation all the way back to what we're supposed to be here for, which is Minor Disturbance Radio,
right.
about all things that rock and some things that suck.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Anyway, and you know, we try to have the local flair on the show, and we like to talk about local situations and bands, you know, the Quad Cities here and surrounding areas, and you know, we have some big stories that come up here and there in our world of the music people. And, you know, one of them obviously being 3 Years Hollow going on tour and that release of The Cracks.
Yeah.
Which I have in my car. And I got to be honest, man, there's like 6 singles on that record.
Oh,
Really?
yeah.
I mean, if you know, I love the sound of it. That kind of music speaks to me 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And right now I'm 40,
Yeah.
and that stuff I can tell that it's good, but it doesn't move me
No,
in the way that, you know, it will younger people.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So, and their fan base seems to be kind of in the record buying age group,
right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Which
right.
is good for them, because if I did a record, I'd get like 6 45-year-olds to buy my record, you know.
I would say that Brian Miner is just terrific. You know, I've thought he was great for years, but you're right. I mean, we don't, you know, that music, and I kind of wanted to bring this up because it's about why it is that even though I still enjoy heavy metal, why I'm really not metal anymore, you know? And that's weird because I was convinced that I was going to be a 70-year-old man, you know, wearing a Megadeth shirt, you know, in the nursing home. You know what I mean? I did. That's what I thought.
You know, I can add to that vision for me. I could have swore I'd be that guy still wearing, you know, like a Slaughter shirt. Actually, that's bullshit. I never had a Slaughter shirt. I'd be the one with a Rat shirt or something, you know, and I'd be pushing the fucking trash can with wheels down the hall at Rock Island High School with my, like, fucking Pro Wing Velcro shoes.
Awesome.
Keys, you know, high water elite, you know, Wrangler jeans. I could totally see it because I remember being in class looking out and seeing the guy go by the custodian and going, fucking loser.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And in my head, I was like, I'm going to be way better than that.
Totally, dude.
Yeah, and here I am every day sucking boogers and cum out of carpet all day long. You know, that's what my job is.
Fucking,
you know what I mean?
Fucking pearl cocoons.
Yeah. Fuck, man. Yeah. Hello, my name's Brian Miner, and I clean carpet for a living. So, I own my own carpet cleaning company, and that's what I do, you know, to survive.
Right.
You know, and so I'm in a situation where that's what I do to live.
Right.
And it sucks, man. It's not very fun, but it's something to do to support your family. And at the end of the day, you wish that you were on tour with 3 Years Hollow, having a cool record and, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But life is, for me, that whole dream thing is over. I've talked about that. You know, I don't think about that anymore. I daydream about it sometimes and, like, wonder what it's like.
But I mean, when was the last time you went down a slide at the playground? You know what I mean? When was the last time, unless it was with your kid, you know, when was the last time you got on or used something that's usually more associated with your childhood? And, you know, I'm just having to realize that, you know, heavy metal and hard rock stuff really is kind of like, that was my playground, you know? And now that I'm older, I see through a lot of the kind of fantasy of it now. It doesn't appeal to me in the same way because I don't believe the same thing about it. You know what I mean? I don't believe it anymore.
No, if you go back and listen to the same stuff, does it have that same feeling?
No.
It doesn't even bring that back
You
up.
just nailed it on the head, Jeff, because for you, you're one of them people that can... I think it's because he wasn't ever in a band.
Maybe.
And that might be it.
And since you're just you're a music lover, and you never went in and looked around and got in that room and went, whoa, this is fucking scary in here, and then came back out or got pushed back out and went, well, I'm not sure that I really wanted that.
Right,
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but you still get that feeling. You listen to new music all the time, and you're still like, you got the new Jakey Lee
the Red
record,
Dragon Cartel.
and you were asking me about it before the podcast, and I'm in my head, I'm like, if it's not Badlands, I don't want to hear it.
Right.
And it's
I
because
rode that ride.
Right.
I rode that ride.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe it's because, like you said, it doesn't bring that feeling back. It's like, it makes me wonder if, because of playing the guitar and because of my relationship with everything that is in the sound, because everything that you do to make that sound, it all matters, and there's a process, there's something that you do in order to get that sound, and when you get into that world, it changes the way you hear it. You hear all the little things they must have done in order to get a certain sound. And it's like the difference between going into a museum when you're not a painter and going in there when you are a painter. When you're a painter in there, even if you're not a very good painter, even if you just were attempting, you really got in and learned a lot about painting and made your own attempts, it's gonna change your appreciation. You'll be able to see that that not all of it is constructed in the same way, and that there are certain types of construction that you think to yourself, whoa, and maybe it isn't the stuff that's like the in your face bright colors, everything, it's the artist that puts the frame on the wall. It's basically like a big white sheet with one little red dot, and everybody else is turning their nose up at it going, what is this? Whereas the studied person walks in and goes, holy crap, that's amazing.
Right.
Yeah, but that's all just subjective. You know what I mean?
It's true.
That's when the beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
That's true.
I mean, it's one of them things that, Jeff might be touched by a certain painting that he looks at and goes, man, if that was on my wall, every time I looked at it, I would feel happy. It would give me this kind of happy feeling. Or if you want something that kind of gives you a dreary feeling, it's all what you want, but it will affect you differently than it may me.
Right.
So, and that's my point with the whole 3 Years Hollow thing is I can tell that it's good art.
It's well done.
And it's really good. And
definitely.
And it still hits me. I get pissed. At night I'm trying to go to bed and I'm going, I'm falling. There's some riff on there that I'm like, fuck, I can't get that out of my head.
Yeah, the earworm. I still get it too.
Yeah.
I still get it too, man. My daughter, she brings out her dance hits, and I don't want to have it be stuck in my head, but there it goes,
There it is.
And I think we are sort of speaking on the same side of the issue ultimately, because really it's about, just like you said, it's in the eye of the beholder, but there are all of these things that you do that changes how your eyes work. You change your eyes, you change the art, and that's the way it goes, man.
So maybe pot is bad for you.
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm saying it makes you Chinese-eyed, man. And
Yeah, see, some people don't understand that about this MDR. They come across it and they think, well, first of all, who the fuck does Brian think he is? You know what I mean? Starting
who the fuck do you think you are?
some radio thing, and the thing is some people like it, some people don't. Some people just kind of want to turn their nose at it because who's got an hour and a half to listen to other people talk shit?
Right.
I'd love to listen to something like this. Nobody did it, so I fucking did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
And it's good that I have people backing me like you, Travis, and Jeff, that want to be a part of it. Otherwise, it'd be me talking into a camera and putting it on Facebook, you know what I mean?
Well, I'm not sure what your history as a conversationalist is with Brian, but me and Brian, we used to sit at fucking habaneros at the mall, and we would just fucking go on endlessly, man.
I gotta be honest, I didn't even hear a word he said. I just every once in a while, I just was like, so you think I'm a good guitar player?
Right.
Can I get some more chips and salsa, please?
The odd thing of what's going on here is, Travis, you want to be a part of this thing. We want to start shooting out, an episode every 2 weeks. You're going to be the man in the field for me. We're going to do some rig rundowns. We might be doing one tomorrow with somebody, and you could go. The gear way better than I do, and that could be something that you could bring to the table on this thing. And and Jeff, he always is buying new music and shit like that. So we're trying to utilize what we got in the room. Listen,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, this whole thing wasn't like planned out and charted. Like I plan on my first video on and then the next one, and then pretty soon we're this big thing. It's not that. It's like I had to make a choice in my life, being 40 years old, and I had to decide what the fuck at the end of the day do I want to have to look forward to? Of course, I'm in a band and I get to look forward to that sometimes. But what do I really love to do? Do that.
He likes hanging out with me a lot.
Maybe if you do what you love doing, life might follow that.
That's true.
So I decided, well, I love to fucking talk. You know,
There you
apparently,
go.
did you know?
I noticed a little bit.
Yeah, and I love conversations like this with people that, you know, have the same common interests and things like that. And I think that is beautiful, and that's why I do this. I think that some people enjoy the conversation.
But you love rock and roll too, and you know, and what it is that Jeff brings to the table really speaks a lot to the part of it that if you get too far involved with the playing of music that you forget about, which is what it was like when we were little kids before we picked up guitars, man, when all we had was the new record, you know?
Right.
I mean, you know, I miss that. I want that, you know?
And that's when I came to you about that, obviously I related to Badlands with the Red Dragon Cartel. I want to get your opinion on it because that's what we do. I look at it differently than you, and I want to get your take on it, even though when you're rolling your eyes at me. It's like, I want to get your side of it.
I'm not rolling my eyes at you. I envy you. I'm serious.
Really, me too.
I envy the Brian that used to can't wait until some new thing came out and would listen a whole through it. You know what I mean? And study every single nuance of it and then devour it and then go on to the next thing. I don't have that much of a diet anymore. I think that the new stuff coming in, I'm turning my head to it because I can't relate to most of it. You know what I mean?
Yep. Right.
All I have is this back catalog of things that have moved me up to this moment. I'm not a pissed off kid anymore.
Right.
You know, my drive is in a different place now.
Yeah.
Almost to the point where for a while I was listening to country all the time because at least the shit they're talking about sometimes meant, you know, they're talking about a normal dude that has a family and a fucking this and that.
Yeah,
you know,
right,
it's not
right,
like, let's go get some bitches, fuck them in the butt. You know what I mean? There's nothing like that
I think
happening.
they do talk about that in country music.
Well, in a roundabout way. They say get in my pickup truck and you know, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They use different words, but
which is a
same thing.
metaphor.
I guess, like, you know, like the anxiety, or not the anxiety, but the anticipation of something new coming out. And most of the time I'm let down now, but as a younger growing up, like, I remember sitting in school and Crazy Nights was coming out.
See, now that's a day I will live in infamy with me because I fucking put my head in the sand.
And I was so excited.
I'm embarrassed of Kiss. See, we're big Kiss fans. Me and
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm
I
not
was just
really part of that club.
So excited that I just couldn't wait to get out of school to have my mom take me to the mall to go get it. You know, like, oh, you know, and it's just always been like that. That's my drug of choice.
It was always Christmas or my birthday. I'd get the record for that, you know, because my sisters knew that every year Kiss put out a record.
Right.
Thank God they did because they gave them great Christmas present ideas every year. And so that record could have been out for 4 months before Christmas. I wouldn't know.
Right.
Because back then, when you're 8, you don't fucking have YouTube and Facebook and shit. You don't know shit.
Right.
You just know that, oh, look, you know, as soon as your mom says, here's a new Kiss record. Because where are you going to read about it? Where are you going to learn about it?
You were the kid that like had the copy of Kerrang. You had the copy of Hit Parader.
Oh,
you
yeah.
had the copy of fucking Metal Edge.
You knew it was coming out.
I
Okay.
had no fucking idea and no budget for that shit. I could barely afford fucking guitar strings. Tiger Beat can suck it.
Suck it.
I remember Paul Stanley thinking on whatever tour he said, I remember looking out the hotel window and I saw families and children and I knew something's wrong. You know what I mean? I was like, how about back when you were on Teen Magazine?
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Or you did a space, like Star Wars type movie. You know, how about then? Did you realize something was up then?
Something's a little
you know what I mean?
askew. No, I mean,
because all rock bands do movies for, you know,
all of them
primetime TV, right?
Yeah, I mean, I cut grass, and I like knew, this, you know, 3 weeks, and I can get the magazine or, you know, the cassette tape or whatever, the album, you know, at the time. And in between then, if I couldn't afford it, just go to the supermarket and read. And
No?
I don't know. One time I was sitting on my couch and my girlfriend was gone. Not this one. It was a different girl at the time.
No, I thought you meant different couch.
And she was like bitchy, wouldn't let me do nothing ever. You know what I mean? Just like one of them kind of bitches.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting on the couch by myself. I just went and got some Azteca. Didn't have kids, nothing. Sitting on the couch. Just went and got some Azteca and was chilling on the couch watching TV, you know, feeling good about life, younger, you know what I mean? Phone rings. Hello? Jerry Freeze, my buddy Jerry Freeze. He's like, listen, me and Mike and this guy, we just got tickets to fucking go see Anthrax and Judas Priest and and somebody else at the iWireless. You want to go? And I was like, yup. You know what I mean? And so pretty soon they're picking me up and I'm in the car with all my buddies. going to the Mark to see Priest, and Anthrax was opening.
Belladonna's first tour back with them, yeah.
Yeah, they sounded really good.
It was solid.
I was like, that's what I remember.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a good singer, man.
And Priest, fuck. God, seeing them in concert was definitely better than listening to their records.
And anybody who doesn't understand just exactly how fucking incredible and important Rob Halford is.
Even more important than Rob Halford was the guy that was running that fucking delay knob.
Oh, yeah.
From the soundboard that every time he's like, whoa. You could hear the layers and it's beautiful. You know, when he'd hit a scream, they would hold that out, and that dude was like, nailing that tempo. He's tapping the whole time. You know, he's waiting for a wow, anything.
Yep.
He's sitting there, wham. Wham. And I want a sound guy like that, because sometimes I'll be up there and I'm like, okay, here comes one that's either going to make everybody want to piss their pants or they're going to think I'm awesome.
Right.
And, like, and you look, and the sound guy's like, talking to somebody, huh? Oh. Yeah, that one. Yeah, I didn't get that one. Sorry. You know what I'm saying? I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
But their dude that's what his job was. He probably made fucking $500 a night to go delay. Yep. Boom, because it was so huge.
He was wearing a shirt that said Ox One.
But that's when I learned. That's when I learned as a vocalist and as a band member that your band, when it goes and plays somewhere, you have to make sure that your assets are shown.
Yeah.
Because if Rob Halford was playing at Rascals and the sound man wasn't hitting the delays. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't be the same band.
No, that's
it would
true.
sound cool, but it wouldn't be as cool. So I always fought that battle being in bands all the time is, man, I hope the sound guy's good. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, I do know what you're talking about. And, this has always kind of been the challenge, is to understand how to actually not just in so much as create a band per se, or as to realize that there's a lot more organization and a lot more technical involvement that goes in producing live music and having it sound really good than just showing up with your shit and getting on stage. And that's pretty much the way that all of us have been doing it, And it's really hard for us to do that, because I can't afford to pay some dude, I mean, maybe I could afford to pay some dude if he's really cheap, but chances are if he's really cheap, what the fuck he's doing.
That's why it comes back to the whole idea of your band has to have some money to begin with.
That's true.
So that you can, get the initial investment for what show that you're putting on.
Yeah.
And then at that point, you start to hopefully make money if people like the show.
Right.
But if you come out and you're open for another band, no monitors, no effects, no lights, you're making yourself look like a dick.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
And
you're hurting. You could be hurting your cause.
And I've done that. I've opened for situations where I definitely wasn't doing my band any justice. And we get caught up in the whole, but we're opening for so-and-so. And that whole thing happens to you, and you forget that. Wait, no, you're going to look like a butthole that people can't wait to get off stage in front of so and so.
Right.
Exactly.
So,
and it's strange too, that as the common person not ever have been up there, you don't know what it takes to do it. And obviously, talking to Brian over the years, and knowing and taking the time to see it.
Yeah.
You appreciate it more, but the common person don't really.
They really don't
know what it takes. They just go and enjoy it. And
they're not supposed to.
Right.
And this kind of speaks back to the point that we were talking about earlier, and that is that the more you know about that kind of stuff, it loses the mysticism. It doesn't seem as mystical and magical.
There's a fine
anymore,
line, because I've learned more, but I appreciate, because I can tell if
you're right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, oh, they did take the time to do this, work on this, or
you don't fucking have a clue, Jeff. You listen to it and you're like, oh, this is awesome. You know what I mean?
Who's this guy?
You sit there and stare at your Maiden poster and got it on, got your incense burning, a glow in the dark poster behind you. Yeah, man, this is the Brian's calling me again. What? You want to do MDR again? I ain't got time, dude. I gotta listen.
Yeah, exactly.
I got the new fucking J.K. Lee CD, man.
Fuck, I'm supposed to wipe off this lipstick and come over. He's in there too. But
you guys are buttholes.
Oh, we are. That's true. Hey, I am what I eat.
Yeah. No, I was trying to go somewhere with that whole rock and roll thing that you talk about. You say I love rock and roll. Well,
yeah, you do love rock and roll.
At some point in my life, I had to realize that, and you and I are the same when it comes to this. We overanalyze things, and we take a second to, and maybe this is marijuana too, but you have a situation here, and sometimes you're looking at it front on, and you decide, let's take a look at it from this side of the angle, and look at it and see what it really is. And the thing is, I used to think that rock and roll was something that you could touch.
Right.
It's something that that exists.
Yeah.
And it's not.
No.
It's purely a feeling. Is a black leather jacket rock and roll?
No, but it can be.
It can be. Is a bandana rock and roll? No. Is long hair rock and roll? No. Rock and roll is an attitude and a feeling.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? And that's why I'm sorry, Travis.
Yeah.
The other night I got into his music catalog.
Yeah.
And I found myself sitting in my Kiss folder because I illegally downloaded their whole discography.
Good job.
You know what? Fuck them. I own every record anyway.
You know what?
God
Gene Simmons is sitting somewhere and he's got like the fucking Matrix monitors. There's like monitors and every fucking. He's like, ooh, that
Come
Brian
get me.
Miner.
Come
that
get
little
me.
you little fuck.
Come get me in my fucking plastic table, you fucking rich bitch.
Me and Tom Selleck are doing Runaway 2, and we're gonna come fucking take all your shit.
So I find myself in this Kiss catalog, and I'm poking around in there, you know, and I'm like, oh, I like that one. Boom, better than you know, some old Kiss, like, yeah. And then pretty soon I find myself on like Unmasked or disco record, loving like Shandy or something like that. And I'm out here listening, and I realized that I'm that guy that I used to laugh at that used to go through their Beatles catalog all the time, sit in their room with their receding hairline and their, you know, life's over for me.
Yeah.
So I'm going back to what the shit that I remember when I was, because I can remember being a kid in the bedroom listening to it, and it teleports me back to that kid sitting in my room again.
Yeah. Right.
Like that.
Yeah.
And what does it for me is Kiss.
Yeah. And this kind of, I think, is what he gets. Like, what you get is when you hear, even when you hear new stuff, it still speaks to your inner child, whereas our inner child is like cut off from new stuff. We have to actually go back to the music of that time in order to revive the inner child.
Because we attach to the reverbs and the way it was mixed.
Yes.
And what Kiss is, they re-recorded a lot of that shit. Doesn't do it to me. I can listen to re-recorded, like they did new mixes and mastering of their old shit.
Yeah, ZZ Top did that shit too. Terrible.
Totally re-recorded it. So the vocal lines ain't the same. I knew every nuance of it. And that version is the one that is going to take me back to my room. That's right. It has to be the exact ambience.
Yep. That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's
it doesn't work.
Even the format. Like for me, like I'm a big Boston fan, but really just of the first album, you know, because after that, really they were just sort of imitating themselves anyway.
Correct.
But that first Boston album, I not only would have to listen to the original cuts from that album, but it has to be on vinyl.
Really?
If I listen to it on tape or anything like that, it's man, you throw it on vinyl and it's just got that whatever it is, man. And so I have to go back to the source. I got to go back to
because of the sound or because of the feeling it brings in you, or just knowing
it is the sound. That is the component of it. It is the way that it sounds. The vinyl does sound different. Particularly the bass frequencies, the way the bass sounds and the way the kick drum sounds stuff is different.
Yeah, but that would be subjective to what speakers you're hearing it through too.
To some degree, but not entirely. I mean, that is to say that speakers don't make sound.
I was listening to Kiss Alive 1 on a plastic record player that opened up that had a speaker right here, and the fucking record went on the here, and you put it like, and it was like, you know what I mean? You could have just put like a piece of paper with a needle on there. You know, it's so quiet.
The other part of it though is and
I was loving it.
I was loving it, and the other side, the other end of it, and it literally is the opposite end of the spectrum. And this, not to get too technical for our.
Here we go. We got to have some of that on the show because there were some smart people that listen to this show.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get technical here.
There's two of you.
I'm gonna get technical here. You know, the human range of hearing only goes so high, and above it, dogs can still hear, but we can't. And digital sound, as it's recorded, is designed to only reach the top limit of the human capability to hear sound. You know, as far as like, if you played a note and kept making notes higher and higher and higher, eventually they'd disappear. You wouldn't be able to hear them anymore.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, the thing about records or analog medium is they do not have that limit.
Really?
That's right.
So you can hear shit that you can't hear on there, Travis. This sounds retarded. Are you saying you can hear shit that normal people can't hear?
Yes. And
wow.
And I'm not saying that I can hear things that normal people. I'm saying everybody can actually hear things that are within the range of hearing, but actually are byproducts of things that are happening outside of the range of hearing. In other words, you're hearing harmonics of signal that's outside the range, but the harmonics are still there. Whereas digital actually filters those out. So they're not there. So the sound is actually more complex.
Wow. Okay, so but you want to hear that vinyl.
it does something to me.
Oh, and by the way, talking about vinyl records, you got to go down to one of our sponsors, Ragged Records, at the foot of the Arsenal Bridge, and go buy some vinyls there. Because apparently it's the cool new thing to do is to get shit back on
I know.
vinyl, right?
Like they're weighing them out, you know what I mean? It's like they're selling dime bags, man. This is 20-ounce vinyl. You don't want to get this fucking 16-ounce vinyl.
No, I was talking to the guy there that I deal with, and I've bought a few vinyls from him, and he said, no, people are buying these vinyls to listen to.
Yeah, really.
I'm buying them to put on my wall.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then listen to my stolen version on my computer. That's perfect and digital. You know what I mean?
Do you have a record player? Do you have a turntable set?
See, that's the thing. I don't.
Oh, right. You need to go back, man.
You think?
I'm telling. No,
Put
I
on
know.
a Ragged Records.
I know. You need to go back, man, because it is not the same.
Okay. All right, I trust you, man. I'll put but it's got to be in headphones. I when I'm making love to a record, I've got to have headphones, isolation,
preferably with a spirally cord.
Yes, and preferably cranked until your ears can't hardly take it.
And you may know someone who may or may not have smoked pot before listening to it.
Yeah, and see, to finish that story about the pot, like I had the experience when I was a kid and then just stopped. You know, I was like, and I had read somewhere that apparently if you smoked pot, it would slow down your motor skills. Anyway, I thought it was going to slow me down. At the time, I was trying to be a really technical, fast guitar player, and I didn't need anything in my life that was going to slow down my motor skills because I was an Olympic. I was going for the gold. Nothing. I was shaving my fingers for less weight. So,
oiling them up, putting little caps on them.
That's not true, but it's funny. It's not true though.
No.
But anyway, so I went through that whole time, and then I started realizing that wait a minute, man, I know Eddie Van Halen gets stoned, and I know Dimebag gets stoned.
Yep.
And I know, you know what I mean. His name's Dimebag.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like I don't believe this shit. See, I was told that, and you know, it's also going to stunt your growth and make your dick shrink and all that stuff. Didn't do any of that.
They fucking lied to you, man. My dick got bigger, and I actually got faster on the guitar because I realized when I was high that time slowed down.
So 30-second note in that.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I fucking just slowed time down. Now I'm, you know, normal speed time people are fucking like, what?
Yeah, but your sober friends next to you are still just hearing. I'm tearing it up.
Playing it slow.
And then you just look at him like, yeah.
Meanwhile, I think it's Vinnie Moore, Mind's Eye. You know?
It really. I love this riff, man. So, yeah, because that happened to me. I know for a fact that first time I did the steamroller, my friend may or may not have tried to put a guitar in my hand too afterwards, and I just kind of looked at it like, wow. You know what I mean? And I was like, there's dots mean something, man, I think. And my fingers just I couldn't really grasp the whole connecting the right hand and the left hand together because I was that bad. So I believe that whole thing about it's going to slow you down, make it not good.
Right.
And as time went on, and then soon I'm like 32 years old, I'm sitting around with this girlfriend, the bitch, the one that didn't let me do shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So...
Anyway, with the nasty look on her face.
Well played.
Exactly. Actually, it was probably another one that had a nasty look on her face before that. But anyway, so we're sitting on the couch, and I'm like, so you have a friend that has pot, right? And because I haven't had pot in a long time.
Right.
Can you have him bring us a joint? I just want to smoke a joint. Let's sit around, and you know, because... And if I do it slow enough, maybe I can really get on the ride and kind of figure out what it really is. You know, we'll sit back and listen to some music, and we'll smoke this joint. And I did that, and about 2 hours later, I was like dancing in my living room, like doing an airplane to "Everybody Wants to Rule and I'm dancing to everything because it's the best song in the fucking world. Every song that came on, Purple Rain came on, and I was like, oh my God, this is a good song. And I just had a blast with it. I'm happy, and I'm dancing around. My ego is gone. You know what I mean? Brian Miner, the guy in the back, who
hates everything.
Yeah, that hates everything and can't look uncool at all.
Yep.
Is fucking jumping off my couch and trying to float like a butterfly around my living room. You know what I mean? And I know this is totally fucking gay, but to
now,
me,
is it gay that I'm getting a boner when you're talking about it?
To me, a drug that makes you feel that good and takes away all the negativity that you have in yourself, as far as your ego. Because that's what my problem is. My ego gets in my way a lot. Like, how are people going to perceive me? How are people looking at me? What are they thinking of this MDR? What's going on? I don't give a shit, man. Let's just fucking hang out.
Yeah, I
you know
love
what
you
mean?
all.
We're all living this life, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I just needed something that, you know, I enjoy doing. I love doing something like this. And yeah, but you know, like my wife said though, Brian, you're gonna hear all kinds of negative things in your life because you always put yourself in the public eye and ask for, because anytime I do something like this or a band, you're asking people what they think of you without asking.
Yeah,
sure.
You know, so people are gonna go, yeah, I don't like that because I don't like Brian. He's an asshole, or he says too many things this way or that way, and he looks stupid, and he's got gray hair that he does. Look at that. You see this? Anyway.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful sight, man.
You know, I mean, here's a guy with hair talking about.
Whatever. No. It's beautiful, dude. Fucking silverback gorilla, man.
Oh God.
Fuck yes,
It's
dude.
chrome. Anyway, so then you put yourself in a band and you step up on stage and you work on your songs and the thing and you go in front of people and then all of a sudden you're basically asking them, what do you think of us? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
so
it's
you're always going to get. If I was just the dude that just went to work, came home, I probably wouldn't hear too many negative things.
No, you probably wouldn't. And you know, it then becomes a challenge to try to sort out the feedback that you're getting that is, you know, valuable and legitimate from the feedback that isn't. And then sort that out from what it is that you're, you know, projecting from your own mind onto people and what it is that's actually really truly coming from them. And that's difficult. Because especially when your ego is fucking with you.
And it took me a long time in life to grow out of that little boy that was afraid that people might not like me.
Right.
And really kind of feel free as a person again and go, I don't have to worry. If you don't like me, fuck off. You
know what's great about that, though, is that then you can be on the other side of it, which is when you're on the side of, gosh, I hope everybody likes me, then when you look around, you always see the person who's fucking threatened by you or hates you or whatever, right? But if you can not give a shit about that, then you can actually be available to appreciate it when people actually like you.
Like you, right. You
need to finish that beer.
Are you getting drunk?
No, it was taunting me with its, you know, height in the bottom of the bottle there. I needed to, you know, relieve myself.
You were pretty aggressive, man. I mean, you
kill that beer.
You maintained eye contact most of the time you were drinking that bottle.
You know what? You know why I do that? You know why I do that, though? I just think it's cool to look people in the eye when I put cylindrical objects in my mouth.
That's the fourth. I think that's the fourth time he's referred to something homosexual.
Because actually, and I haven't really brought this up. But and I'm, no offense, metalheads, but it is without a doubt the most homoerotic form of music.
What is
heavy metal?
Heavy metal?
Without a doubt.
Really? What makes you say that?
Yeah, we'll come to this.
Because I'm telling you, when I was into heavy metal, I didn't get any kind of vibes from it other than I wanted to be dropped off at high school by like fucking Dokken.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And have them pull up in front of the school like, ding, 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 and then have fucking George Lynch kick the back door up and get out and play a solo. And then fucking I would get out behind him like in the smoke coming out, of, you know, and I'm like, bitches, it's time for school. And Don Dokken like high fives me, and I fucking, and he tapped, and like, you know, Lynch does the solo all the way in the door, and they're like, we got your back, we'll be waiting for you when you come out. You know, that's what it was. It was my protector, my vehicle, my you know, my badge.
You know, bros,
right?
Hanging out,
right?
Yes.
Yeah. I remember that was my. I remember gang. I remember having kids pick on me or whatever in school, and I'd be like, man, what I wouldn't give for Gene Simmons to show up right now and fucking step on him with his boot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this
thinking
is my buddy.
That, you know, and Gene would be like, I'm not fighting that guy. You know, you know what I mean? He'd have been scared of a sixth grader, but. Anyway, you know what I mean. They were your own club that you can go to whenever you felt hurt. I guess you know.
So, what's your analysis of?
Well, it's second only probably to country music, really, and followed somewhat closely by like the hardcore frames of rap. And the reason why I say that is because I don't know that there was any form of music that I know about that so overtly worships masculinity. You know what I mean? That wants to. It got to the point, especially with hair metal, that it was so masculine that it became feminine. You know what I mean? With the teased hair and with the makeup and, you know.
Yeah, where'd that come from? I mean, what started that whole thing?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you look at the first, like, Rat and even Motley, I guess makeup.
Wasn't
but
Twisted Sister
feminine.
doing that?
Twisted Sister?
Wasn't he doing that kind of back in the 70s?
But even Alice Cooper, David Bowie.
Not on the first couple, but you're right.
Bowie.
With Ziggy Stardust,
totally.
Stardust, yeah.
Absolutely. To where
Yeah, but what made the guys want to tease their hair, Bon Jovi style, torn up, but looking like cowboy-ish, kind of girly, that thing? What caused that?
Well, let's go back to where did we see it first? I mean,
that's what I'm asking.
Who was really the first one who had the big teased hair? Was it?
I thought it was like Twisted Sister.
Ozzy had it. Ozzy had it.
It was more
on.
flat.
No, he had it flat until the hair thing hit, and then he teased it
That's
up.
right. For a Shot in the Dark.
It might be Kiss. I mean, Paul's hair's always been kind of puffy. You got Gene with the tie.
You think they created the hairband?
It might be.
Just in a small way.
It might be.
And like I said,
well, who else had big hair? What about Richie Blackmore? Richie Blackmore, he didn't have long straight hair. He had kind of
curly.
He had kind of curly big hair, didn't he?
So I was sitting down listening to these Kiss songs, okay? And then I was kind of going around in my catalog, and Danelle was sitting in here with me, and we were listening to music together, and we got talking about why the '80s died, okay?
Right.
And we were talking about this, and I wish I had the mics on and stuff. First of all, she's really hot. She wasn't wearing a bra at the time, and it would have been probably my best MDR episode ever. But I constantly hate people staring at my wife's tits all the time. But so what was I talking about? Anyway, okay. So she asked me. She said, "Squirrel, look, a squirrel." She asked me, she said, "What happened?" And so what I did was I went, okay, I'll show you what happened. Just listen to this song first. And I'm bring up Steel Heart, Smooth Side Down, Sticky Side Up. Smooth side down, sticky side up. And then I was like, listen to part of that. And she's like, cool. And then I went, okay. And then I turned on fucking Alice in Chains, anything, like Wood.
Right.
And I went, that's what happened.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
That is what happened.
That song sounds like bullshit, and who's lives that life? You know what I mean? And it got so saturated and fake and dumb. Then all of a sudden, something that was a song again came out. And it was still heavy too. Actually, I'm sorry, it was Stone Temple Pilots I put on. I am smelling like a rose, because I remember when that record came out, I was staring at it going, these guys fucking look stupid, but man, they can rock.
Right.
I was like, if you put some long hair on these motherfuckers, they might make it.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
because it was cool, and I didn't get it.
I still think that even though it seems like maybe it's a diversion from the conversation, I think it's still part of the same conversation, because really, the critical change between the grunge era and the hair metal era had to do with what role feminine sexuality played in both the lyrics and the looks of the bands. Because really, the problem with hair metal, the reason hair metal couldn't really last, is because it objectified women in a way that couldn't be sustained in
society
in the society of women specifically.
So what you might be saying is that the whole musical genre and the changes are kind of parallel to like a man's mood. So you're chasing the bitch, you get the bitch, you blow your nut, you want to cuddle. You want to just watch TV and shut up and calm down for a while. That's your Alice in Chains. And
that's a pretty brilliant observation.
And then you start getting horny again. You know what I mean? You're like, Dave, she walks by, and, in the thong, and you're like, hey, wait a minute.
Right.
Hey, wait a minute. And then all of a sudden the music starts ramping up sexually again.
Yep. You could definitely liken it to...
that was horrible analogy, but I just wanted to talk about sex.
No, that's legit. That's legit, though. If you look at the pattern, you can definitely relate it to the orgasm for sure. I mean,
because when the nut went on the 80s stuff, Nirvana was the jizz.
They were.
You know what I mean?
Nirvana was the jizz, and if you look at the lyrics of Nirvana,
I'm just like, listen to the analogy, take it in.
If you look at the lyrics of Nirvana, though, you're a great sport. If you look at the lyrics of Nirvana, lyrics like Polly and things like this, they were songs that were meant to really expose, misogyny or the bad treatment of women. And Stone Temple Pilots, one of their first big songs, maybe their first big song, was Sex Type Thing,
right?
Which was a song that talked about sort of the ugliness of rape. And you shouldn't have worn that dress, and I know you want what's on my mind, and and all of that sort of stuff. And this group of people that really were sort of treated like chattel by the previous artistic movement, now all of a sudden actually had some power and some traction to at least sort of get some dignity back, because let's face it, in the 80s,
not too many people could relate to the debauchery and the super tight pants and the perfect hair and the blue eyes and the singing about all the hot girls and getting all the girls.
Sure.
Because guess what? Not everybody was getting all the fucking girls.
Well, that's
you
what
know
I'm
what I mean?
saying.
You're like, oh yeah, I want that. And wait a minute, I'm not getting that.
Yeah, right.
I'm done with that now.
Yeah.
We thought we had to do that. We had to
Yeah.
get famous so we can get all them chicks. And guess what?
By the way, and by the way, the real me is is the second hit from Nirvana. The real me is not even Smells Like Teen Spirit, which makes fun of the whole high school mentality that's behind all of that shit. But it's Come As You Are. You know what I mean? That's when that song hit. I think that's when a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, man, maybe everything isn't cool." Maybe everything isn't a big party, and it's not like I'm writing a love song to you just so I can get you in the sack, and tell you of my sensitivities to your condition. But
it was art again.
It was art again. Well,
yeah.
at least it was willing to talk about the reality of how kind of sucky things were. Things were not awesome. And we're still dealing with it now. Part of the reason why I think we're having this show, and the reason why we want to do some of the things that we're doing here, is to reestablish what got severely broken in our local area in the early 80s, when all the factories closed and all the clubs closed and music just became, some weird luxury, where people were much more apt to go out and listen to recorded music and disco and all that kind of stuff.
On top of that, the drinking age was 18.
Drinking age was 18.
And when
AIDS happened.
Okay, AIDS happened. Probably from the drinking age being 18.
Yeah.
Probably. No. Obviously, everybody knows that came from somebody having sex with a monkey. Yeah. A green monkey.
A green monkey?
Right? Isn't that where it came from?
A green monkey.
Can you imagine trying to hold a monkey down? Anyway.
Yeah.
You got a lot of time on your hands, don't you?
Yeah.
Isn't that a Queen song? Like Tie Your Monkey Down? Isn't that what
It's Tie Your Mother Down. And I don't know why you would want to sing about that. Would you write that song?
If I was Freddie Mercury, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, where would you... I hear songs and I'm like, where do they come up with the idea? How would they be brave enough? Unskinny Bop. What is an Unskinny Bop?
I don't know. I don't know. But that is the worst fucking bass tone ever recorded on that song. Just wanted to say that.
But let me tell you something.
On Unskinny Bop fucking sucks.
I got a question. I got a question for you. Would you... Travis, Jeff, you might not be able to relate to this, but you might be able to have a little bit of 2 cents about your perspective of it.
Okay.
But if you had a choice between being in your original act, and this is like you, and just say your original act is you, and you've got your band, and you've worked on your original stuff, and there's like 10 people that dig it and usually come out every time you're doing it, and they bought your CD that you put out, and so you sold like 10 or 15 CDs to some people that just love the shit out of it, but the rest of the people just kind of don't give a shit. And you can't, and you're not trying to get new, you're just hoping that it catches, and it's just not.
Right. Versus.
Or stand in front of 2,000 drunk fucking people that are listening to Unskinny Bop and loving the shit out of it, and like throwing bras at you, and you're getting paid a whole bunch of money.
If I'm starting from like zero, like I wake up in the morning and I have to decide which one it's going to be, there is actually, I'll admit, a solid chance that I might go for the 2,000 drunk unruly fans listening to me play Unskinny Bop. But I will say that I kind of did that for a while, even though maybe the audiences weren't quite that big. When I was playing with my good friend John Vance in Mommy's Little Monster, and I think part of my disenchantment with doing that after a certain amount of time was, kind of like, it just got worn out. You know what I mean? It's like watching the same porno over and over and over again, man. It just doesn't delight. It doesn't appeal. There's nothing to connect with about it anymore. You've been there. You've done that. You've seen it. It's like it's worn out in that sector of your brain, and it's...
I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm still viable at it. So, if that's my avenue for getting that, for being able to open my vocal cords up and sing that kind of music, that's perfect. Because, I wouldn't want to be in a cover band that just had to do the normal 9-to-5 union gig to where they have to play all the covers that everybody else is playing and compete who can play Jesse's Girl the best, and because that's gonna, you know what I mean? Because for a while there, every fucking local band that had a gig played Jesse's Girl and played Mama Let That Boy Listen. There's a list of songs that they all had in their set list because Lynn Allen did. Right? Let's face it. It's because Lynn Allen had a crowd, and so let's pick and see what's he doing. That's got to be the reason it works. No, the reason it works is because Bill picks songs that he sings well. well, and you will end up liking it.
Yeah, he's smart about it.
You know what I mean? Yeah, he's smart about it. So, I mean, like I said, there's people that think that he wrote Jesse's Girl. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah. I know some of those people.
Right. So, and anyway, so you get these bands that just kind of regurgitate that same 35 song set list. Right. You know, and you don't deviate from it. You know what I mean? And then as soon as somebody's like, well, here's my idea. I'm not going to play any of that shit. I'm going to play all B-side shit. And then they go out and realize that shit don't work either because nobody cares about the B-side shit because they're all in bands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or they're, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The people that want to go out and drink beer and watch a band want to have a party.
Correct.
Yeah, they do.
They don't want to go somewhere where they're going to be preached to like, hey, here's something you need to like.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They don't want come as you are.
Right.
I mean, that's really what it is. They don't want come as you are. You don't go out to party and listen to shit that is fucking a bummer. Even if it's honestly really about the actual real bummer that is going on, you don't want to fucking hear it.
I'm not
You're
listening.
there disconnected to that shit, dude.
I'm not listening to that anyway.
You know?
But my ass will be at that Maiden and Priest tribute band up there at Rascals.
Yeah.
What are they called?
Judas Beast.
Judas Beast. They're going to be up at Rascals. It's March 8th.
Yes.
March 8th. You know my ass will be there. Me and you be standing in the front row going, we'll either be going, holy shit, or we'll be going, oh, really?
Yeah, like,
come on. Yeah. That's not how you'd sing it right there, butthole. You know what I mean? Because I've got that whole record programmed in my brain. I don't even need, just like you, Travis, I don't even need any player or anything. I can hear the song all the way through.
Sure, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I think we're the same that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you deviate from that, I'm like, no. And that brings me to my subject of tribute bands.
Tribute bands, yeah.
It seems like there's a lot of that going on. I'm in one. I'm in an 80s tribute band.
Yep. Right.
I'm not in a tribute to any specific band. I'm just a tribute to that kind of sleaze rock. You know what I mean?
Sleaze rock.
So we got this whole pool of songs we get to pick from. You know, Pour Some Sugar on Me, Talk Dirty to Me, Unskinny Bop, Motley Crue shit. You know, whatever. Right. So, and you're not going to play 4 hours of that.
No.
So we have to narrow it down to like a couple hours of just the best of the best shit. You know what I mean? And the crowd, rah, and they fucking you could. I realized you could just go up to the mic and say, "We're gonna play Motley Crue now," and they'll go wild. You don't even have to play a lick, and then I can go, "Oh, hey, nope, better yet, we're gonna play some." Poison, and they're like, "Wow!" Again, you know what I mean? It's like you don't even play anything. You're like, "Wow, this is fun." You know what I mean?
But then fuck with them, and then you should fuck with them and just do like a real rocked up version of like some Air Supply. You know what I mean? Like something just fucking total light rock, fucking cheese shit. But it's got distorted guitars, dude. Yeah. Kind of. I mean,
no, I could say this is we're gonna play some Motley Crue and kick into a Dawkins song, and half the people wouldn't even know.
They'd be like, "Wow, this is a really deep cut, dude." I think isn't this on Too Fast for Love?
Yeah.
This is deep. This is some deep shit.
Too Fast for the Devil? Is this on Too Fast for the Devil? Or Shout It Love?
Shout It Love.
Dr. Feel Love.
Dr. Feel Love. Dr.
We're all trying to think of titles like, shit, I gotta do it. There's a real funny one in there somewhere. I know there is. Man. There's gotta be a funny one in there.
Well, that kind of got me thinking. I've really been listening to a lot of Operation Mindcrime lately. I never got into it.
I've been thinking about that a lot lately. I just like how you said that.
Really?
Well, Brian, I've been listening to a lot of Operation Mindcrime lately. And,
you're like, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. And Brian's like, and I've been making fun of you constantly.
I know, that's what he does. I just let him go. Makes him feel good. Builds his ego. That's what I'm here for.
He needs it. It's a fragile.
You caught on quickly to this whole...
Fragile little ego.
Oh, don't hurt me.
Anyway.
So Operation Mindcrime.
So, a lot of people think, oh, I'm a Queensryche fan. What are they fans of? That album? That song? I mean, do people know the catalog? I mean, I've asked a couple people. It's interesting, but they're like, "Oh, I know Empire. I know, name the other albums.
Name the
other songs."
They don't know.
Exactly.
Listen, a good barometer for that for me was talking to my wife, and I'm not trying to say that she's not me. She's not a metalhead. She's not into the deep cuts. She didn't hear the first couple records that a popular band had. She heard the Black Album. You see what I'm saying? And then that's when she latched onto it. Like, she didn't hear Welcome to the Jungle so much as she heard Use Your Illusion shit. So she's like, "Oh, I love this song." And I'm like, "Really?" And I always get mad. I'm like, "This fucking sucks. Have you heard their early shit?" And she's like, "Not really." And I'm like, "Oh, God, really?" And then I have to take her back in the catalog. So she, like Queensryche, she knew Silent Lucidity. And she was, "Oh, they're good, but that sounds a lot like Pink Floyd." I'm like, gotta listen to Operation Mindcrime. And I'm telling you, I made her listen to that, and she fell in love with the concept of it and the whole thing. She knows that record front to back and loves it. She, you know, so I know what you're thinking. You're like, she sure does. She does.
No, she does. Right. No,
and
she really does. Man.
She fell in love with it. She never thought that she could like that type of music because she didn't like the operatic vocal.
Right.
And now she loves the operatic vocal because she heard somebody that does it well.
Right.
You know, not some old 80s band that's like, all the time, because that's annoying.
It
you know
is
what I mean?
Annoying, dude.
Somebody
I want to punch Bruce Dickinson in the throat about half the time that he fucking sings.
Wow.
No, he's one that doesn't bother me.
No.
His vibrato to me and his
Never
tone.
liked it.
His tone and his vibrato have always like been so beautiful to me. I love that vocal.
However, I'm a huge King Diamond fan, so explain that shit.
Really?
But the reason why I like King Diamond isn't because I think he's a good singer. It's because I like it for the same reason I think why people like professional wrestling. It's just so fucking over the top, just like, oh my God. It's like hilarious to me. Like I listen to him, I'm like, and then he does this, and then he does this, and off the top ropes. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, that's for me, that's King Diamond. But no, from the time I was a little kid, man, I mean, I remember hearing like Run to the Hills and stuff, and I was like, hate
you did
vocals. Hated it.
Oh man,
Hated
that's
it.
odd because I would think that you would be into that type of thing for a while at least.
Nope.
Yeah.
Hated it.
See, that's what, and I can hear King Diamond. I want to hear that music.
I fucking hate King Diamond.
Great.
But as soon as he starts singing, gone. Yeah,
vocal tracks gotta go.
Done with it.
Yep.
Or
Done
like
with it.
guitar solos on Slayer albums. That was another thing I always fucking hated, man.
Me too. I agree with you.
You know, but the riff was always killer, dude.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they would make the change,
Definitely.
and you'd be like, "Fuck yeah!" And then the guitar solo would start and be
solo.
like, "Fast forward."
Yeah, I was talking to a buddy at the gas station. He, I came in late and he was in there buying a case of beer, and we just got chatting about. He mentioned the show. He's like, "Oh, yeah, you said this on the show and this," and we got talking. I was like, the perfect fucking thing that's gonna grab me has got to have a singer that can scream like Maiden-ish stuff if they want to.
Right.
Because it seems like any modern band, they never get above this note right here, and this is their grandiose note. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like, but
Like,
you
dude.
should be able, to get up in there,
Yeah.
too, because that gets me. I'm like, yeah, my nipples are ting. You know what I mean?
Whoa.
When I hear a nice fucking,
Well,
at the end of some build up or something.
Next
you're
time
like,
I need some glass cut, I'll just sing some fucking high notes.
But that's what I mean. There's got to be a certain like tone quality to it too.
Yeah. It can't be all.
Right.
Yeah.
So and it also has to have a guitar solo somewhere.
Right.
That isn't just a. It's got to have a little bit of singing in it.
It's got to have some singing, and it's got to have something interesting happen that maybe I think to myself, now how did he do that?
Yeah. Well, see, you're not going to get that all the time.
No, you're not. But I love that.
Believe it
I
or
need
not,
that.
listen to this. Have you ever tried to learn the solo in say, Nothing But a Good Time?
From
Poison.
No.
Okay, if anybody gets a chance, if you're a guitar player, I know that I play guitar, blah, blah, blah. I'll bet you there ain't no motherfucker around here that can play that solo note for note, period, end of story.
Now, can CC DeVille play it?
No, probably not,
Yeah.
because it's punched in like 3 spots.
That's what I'm saying.
Because he goes. Yeah, it's like,
Right.
and I've sat. I'm a pretty okay guitar player, and I've sat with that solo, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck he's doing. I don't know how he's getting from there to there to that to that. Without,
Really?
and that's CC, and everybody kind of overlooks.
It's all magic, kid.
Yeah. I saw the cigar when you did that. It was awesome. It was this fat, too.
all
It was
magic,
big.
kid.
It was
We're gonna
big.
make you sound like $1 million fucking dollars, kid. You hang on to your butt.
Did you know that reminded me of like the owners of television shows or whatever. I had found out that from Joe Rogan. I listen to his podcast all the time. He was talking to somebody and they were talking about reality shows, and he knows because he was on one.
Yeah, right.
And he said, if you are on a reality show and you're just some butthole like, hey, I'll be on that show.
Yeah.
You have to sign a contract that says that they own your likeness for your life.
That's right.
Like,
Really?
for the rest of your life, if you go on to do anything, they own you.
Yep.
Did you know that?
Did
Yep.
not know that.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you go on Fear Factor and somebody's like, ooh, that guy's kind of cool, I want him to host my show. Well, guess what? The money you make from hosting that show, you're going to have to pay
A percentage of it too.
at least
Yep.
half of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right off the top.
Residuals.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Well, I mean, from the business standpoint, since these organizations make their money entirely upon the viability and saleability of likenesses, you would think that all of their contract law and everything they do as far as that's concerned is going to focus heavily on that. So, I mean, it's almost impossible these days to get quote-unquote famous without having somebody own some piece of your life forever.
Isn't that weird? They set up a little kiosk thing at a mall just for an experiment. I was watching this on YouTube or something, and they set up this little tent that said, kids reality star, make your kid a reality star. And they had people come in and bring their kids. And yeah, that's a cute kid, come here. And it's like, oh, we want to use you in this thing. They filmed the kid saying something with some props or something, and they have the parents sign, okay, you need to have, sign over the likeness to your entire, your family and this, and they're like, oh, okay,
yeah,
you know
sure,
what I mean? They didn't even fucking think twice. And they said all these people, like 100 people that day, signed over their entire life.
Yeah.
Just to be a star.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And people are so antsy to be a star. I still am in a way. I don't really want to be a star in the capacity of, because it's impossible.
Yeah.
But it's cool to be known by a lot of people,
Well, do you, and I'll admit I don't do it, but every time you install a new piece of software on your computer, do you read the end user's license agreement before you click accept?
Yeah,
you fucking don't. That's my point. No, you fucking don't.
Said user must give up his penis whenever we want to have it, and his wife too, because she's got good tits. I heard him say it on MDR.
That's right.
Accept here, and also install some fucked up toolbar that you don't want.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's gonna scan your shit for whatever it is that you're doing, and then put weird advertisements.
Would you like to have 4 viruses with that, please?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
yep, absolutely.
But so
agree.
So this is so this is what we're being conditioned for.
Well, listen, every time I put an MDR episode up on there, I have to agree that everything in this thing, it immediately scans my whole show.
Sure.
And sometimes it goes like this, depending on how long the show is, but it scans for anything that's copywritten.
That's exactly
and
right.
then it finds it because it puts it up against waveforms of everything that's out there. There's like 500 million things it compares it to.
It's the same technology as the recognize a song stuff.
It happens quick, man.
It's very fast, yeah.
And I had a little blurb of a White Lion solo on one of my episodes, and boom, you have copyright infringement at 1 hour and 20 minutes, and then you click the button and it goes right to that spot, and it's the solo of like Wait or something.
It's the solo of When the Children Cry, is the solo of Wait. You're right.
It was a solo of Wait, I think.
Were you there for that?
I was not.
You weren't.
Though.
No, because that was hilarious.
1152 was here because
they were here.
Yeah.
I remember that moment because you were like, yeah, man.
You haven't heard of Vito Bratta?
If you listen to White Lion, man, you don't listen for Mike Tramp. You listen for Vito Bratta, and they were like, crickets.
Who? Did I just say Mike Tramp? And these guys, that's probably why their music's so cool. They're like, I never listened to that shit. You know what I mean?
I have no idea what you're saying right now.
Hey, look at I'm wearing a 1152 shirt too right now.
I saw that, man.
Yeah, and right now, my boys in 1152, I greatly enjoy. Everybody knows this show knows that I enjoy 1152 and what they're trying to do, and I'm inspired by it, and I think it's good stuff. It speaks to me. It's got riffage and it's melody, and and Dusty's got a cool voice, and
it's got some edge.
Even though I think I should be singing for him, but I mean, let's face it, they need a couple more.
They do.
They need none of that. Trust me. Anyway, and I even irritated myself because I was like, I'm like, people think, is that how he sings? He must be horrible. I'm not going to see Dive Bomb ever.
I always wondered what Cat Scratch Fever was, and I think maybe Brian
he's got it now. He's got it now.
He's actually got Cat Scratch Fever. But
so what was I just saying? Because I wasn't finished.
1152.
Okay,
what they got going on?
All right, 1152 is actually entered in a Battle of the Bands type thing. It's where you go online and vote for a band to be included in a live show in Florida, and you know what it is. I forgot what it was called.
I believe it is called Rock on the Range.
Rock on the Range.
That's right.
And it's in Florida, and they get a chance to go play in front of a lot of people and some people that are into business. This is the same kind of thing that happened to 3 Years Hollow.
Right.
And they went and played the Ernie Ball thing or whatever that was, right?
Mm-hmm.
And got some eyes on them at that point. Yeah. And I think our boys in 1152, if anybody are the next to pop out of here, and I think they deserve your vote. So if you get a chance, go on my page, look at the link that I have on there for it. I can't remember what the website is right now because I am completely unprepared for this shit. But
none of us know. We're all just
but I have a link.
We have no idea.
You have an idea, don't you?
No.
You probably wrote it down.
I would just look for. I would go on Google and look for Rock on the Range and or Rock on the Range Battle of the Bands. Something like that.
Yeah.
That's what I'd look for.
Yeah, these
I'll
guys,
come right up.
they're a really good band. I'm sure that you know that if you've heard them. But if you haven't heard them, go check them out. I bet you like them. And give them your vote, man. I'd like to see them go play this thing. It'd be really cool.
Now that Dusty Smith, I've never heard him sing, so I'll be interested to go and check out.
That's bullshit because he was a singer in Marianas.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is an interesting thing. You want to go into that whole thing because
I'll talk a little bit about it, sure.
Yeah, okay. Because I liked Marianas. It was one of them things where I was still, Drop Hammer was kind of riding on their last few years of just kind of getting by on our name. And believe it or not, in this area, we were kind of like people knew who we were. And stuff,
people would show up. They put on the fucking t-shirts.
Yeah, we're not in the same vernacular as 3 Years Hollow and 1152 anymore. But we used to be that kind of band,
Sure. Right.
And so we were doing that thing. We're kind of running on fumes and still kind of trying to get out and do shit. And there's you guys want to open for us? Sure, we'll open for you. Because you didn't give a shit because you knew you were going to fucking stomp. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And so these guys opened for Drop Hammer, and I remember me and Terry and Jerry standing there on the side of the stage going, they're fucking kicking our ass. And it's not that, the players were better players or anything like that, or the singer could hit a higher note or whatever it was. It wasn't that. It was just the gel of the band was so fucking cool.
Yeah, we were gelling pretty good, and at the time we had Daniel Beasley playing drums for us, and I don't know, I think after the band broke up, I think he quit playing drums.
That's weird.
Yeah. He quit playing drums. I think that's right. I think he quit playing drums. And Daniel, if you see this and you do still in fact play drums, I'm very sorry. I don't mean to spread ugly rumors about you, but I think he quit playing drums. But I think that he was just the type of personality that was just so intense about whatever it was that he was doing that if he couldn't get what he was looking for out of it, it was just kind of all or none. And I think really, in retrospect, what it is that made our band work was his ferocity on the drums.
It was the only time that I was okay with watching a band face in on themselves, because I preach this all the time. I hate it when bands face in on it like they're at practice.
Yeah.
I like it when they face the crowd as performers.
Right.
But your band wasn't a performance band.
We weren't really.
It was that little nucleus of the band was protruding an energy out, and it didn't matter which way you faced. The fact that you were facing each other, that made the energy stronger in a way.
It was, and it was because I think with that band, what it was that we were doing really was more truly acoustical, at least in the sense that, not to say,
there was nothing acoustical about that rig you had. Goddamn it!
And this is still going to be my point, which is that it doesn't matter how big your rack is. Without a speaker, it doesn't make noise. Every electronic instrument is ultimately acoustic, except for direct guitar tones, and those are another story.
Let's get back to this thing.
But anyway, it was acoustic. I think the image you were drawing, I think, is the right one, which was that when we faced in, it was more about the wave propagating outward.
Yeah, it was, and if people haven't seen Marianas, it was. I loved that band, and Dusty was the singer of that.
Dusty was the singer,
and from what I understand. And from what he's told me too, is that was all your music. You had written pretty much everything to it, and you would have normally sang it.
There were, and at the time, and maybe even still, I was just really too chicken to do it myself, and I felt like I couldn't, appropriately, like pay homage or whatever to the sound of the band while trying to multitask.
See, that I completely find parallel in that with me is I'm somebody that I've got to move forward. I've got to keep moving forward, and even if things ain't 100% lined up the way they should be, I'll adapt, because I always trust myself to adapt. So I couldn't find the fucking singer I wanted, and I couldn't find the other lead guitar player that I needed, and so I just became both.
Right.
So here I am. I find myself out on a stage where I can do either one pretty good.
Right.
But together, I can feel each one of them suffer. And I'm like, man, if I could just play guitar right now, I would fucking be killing it. I'd be over there on the stage flinging my hair in a circle and fucking, wow.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I'd be killing it. But right now, I've got to pay attention to make sure I can play this riff and sing this line in key.
That goes through your head when you're up there?
Right. Oh, absolutely. You're like, fuck. I know this part's coming up that I've got to try to sing this line that's not syncopated with the guitar part, and it's tough. Look at Dave Mustaine.
Oh, yeah. He's terrific. He's fucking
awesome.
amazing. But here's my point, is that, and by the way, that thought that you're having about what's coming up is fucking everything up.
Yeah.
Right.
The thought is fucking everything up. The fact that you're having that thought now means you're doing 3
Yeah,
things.
you're doing 3 things.
So, and it's tough.
And then I'm looking forward to being pissed after the gig because I know I'll miss some note somewhere vocally that'll piss me off.
stick in your head.
So let's take it back to the whole ego thing. So then if you're on stage having an ego problem, it's even more impossible because then you're doing 3 and 4 things. Because now your sense of the fucking evil eye looking at you, you know, all of the people in the audience like, oh, you know, is actually now causing you to live out this fantasy of failure.
Yeah.
And it's a horrible feeling, you know?
You know, what's funny is I've never been insecure about being a guitar player. I've always felt like when I pick up a guitar, something comes out of me that is me.
Yeah.
And I feel I'm behind it 100%.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
I know I got this,
I
man.
got
I got
this.
this.
Right.
Because if all else fails, I'll just go,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
People will just be like, oh, it'll be the fucking dude in the fucking recliner in the Memorex, the fucking hair blowing back. And
I realized a long time ago, it's not really how, I mean, for you and I, we see a guitar player and we can tell if they're technically very good.
Right.
The average Joe sees how a guitar player plays along with hearing it. So, I mean, think about Eruption.
Right.
Not very difficult to play, but every AC/DC fan and normal Joe that has nothing to do with music really thinks that that's the holy grail of guitar playing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Or the intro to a Crazy Train.
Right,
Or
right.
solo to Crazy Train. You
or
know what I mean?
Great White Buffalo. That's the one I always hear from a certain group of people from the West End. They usually are like, yeah, man, but can you play Great White Buffalo? And I'm like, you know,
Yeah, Travis, this happened to me. I was in a band a long time ago in Macomb when I was in my first days, you know, of like, I'm fucking driven to do this. And we're like, what songs do you want to do? Fucking let's do some Dream Theater. And we're doing all this shit, you know, we're doing Maiden, Dream Theater, all this stuff. We're going to take over this place, you know.
Right.
That didn't work at all.
Of course not.
And we busted our ass to learn all, but, you know, we were driven. So I'm up here and we're playing Pull Me Under right into Another Day, you know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
Like back to back, Unchained by Van Halen, and learning note for note, everything,
Right.
you know. The singer, I wasn't singing that, somebody else was. I sang the Dream Theater stuff.
Cool.
Oh.
And so anyway, we were doing that stuff, and I remember hitting the last note, and I'm like, fuck, man, these guys, we just own this place. All these people in here are going to go home and go, holy fuck. Did that just happen? And this fucking baggy pants girl with like kind of like pink in her hair and like this comes up and goes, do you guys know any Green Day? And I fucking wanted to shove that headstock right through her face. But I realized right then that they don't get it, man.
They don't get it.
They're not musicians. And that's the whole key. If you're playing to musicians, that's one thing.
Right.
If you're playing to music listeners and creating some sort of vibe, then you could do that without having to be able to shred or
know your audience. Know your audience.
Well, but still, like you said, playing to magicians.
Playing to magicians
Yeah,
would be
say it
cool.
right,
They'd
yeah.
all disappear sometimes and like reappear.
Hey, I made 40 hours disappear this week. So.
But they're still not going to be happy because, like you said, how many times did you go judge a band and didn't like what they were doing either? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So to play for them, you're not. That's not going to work for you either.
Right. And so what I was talking about tribute bands, and the reason I brought that up is because if you have Dish Network, I don't know if everybody gets this channel, but this is the Access channel, AXS channel.
Yeah, I've seen it.
There's a show on this thing. It's like the world's greatest tribute bands or whatever. The world's. Will you move that mouse just so I can see that screen? Make sure the audio's keeping on running. So there's this show, World's Greatest Tribute Bands or something like that, and they had a host and everything. And guess they're playing at the Whiskey. Okay, that's where they always film it.
The Whiskey A Go Go.
And I've seen they had one that was Garth Brooks tribute, and it's some dude who came out and sang just like him.
Yeah.
And did all this stuff, and I was like, They had Eagles.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Come on now. See that? But I'm watching them, and they had a Prince one. The dude, and when you watch a Prince, you're really critiquing it. You're like, you motherfucker, you better move like him. You got to be able to play guitar like him.
Yep.
You got to be able to sing like him.
Yep. Mhm. Yep.
You know what I mean? Anyway, so the one last night that I saw that completely about made me want to throw up. Was a Motley Crue tribute band.
Oh, okay.
And just like Vince Neil, he couldn't sing.
No, actually, the guy could sing, and that's what made it suck.
That's what I mean, and
You know what
therefore
I mean?
it was not authentic.
Right, it was horrible, you know.
Yeah.
And
Really?
I hated it. I was just reminded of. I was thinking 30 years ago, the real Motley Crue donned that stage.
Yeah.
In the heyday of breaking Motley Crue, and then 30 years later, there's this shit version of it.
Right.
Still holding on.
Right.
You know, playing on TV, and here's my dumbass ass at home watching it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just kind of crazy how shit happens, you know?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Right. So, tribute bands that do a band like that, man, I'm a real bad critic of that because, like, I come from the school of Kiss, so we've seen a lot of Kiss tribute bands. And if you're going to be a Kiss tribute band, you've got to be spot on.
Oh, right. So, do you want them to sound like the band or look like the band?
I want them to do everything. I want to
interpretation
almost
of them.
think I'm watching Kiss.
He wants to believe.
I want to be able to smoke a little, know somebody that may or may not have smoked pot, and tell me that they think it's really Kiss.
Okay, so not Kiss aside, but like even like a Priest or a Maiden. What I mean, do you want them just to nail?
See, now that's just going to be a technical thing. They're going to have to do the guitar parts right, and they're going to that singer's going to have to sing them notes. He's going to, like Aces High. If they do Aces High, he better do all of Aces High. He better not half-ass it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'm going to want to hear all them notes.
Yep.
And because even if it's Iron Maiden themselves, you know me, Jeff. I'd be like, really? Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's talked to me about my favorite vocalist is Sebastian Bach.
Yeah.
For some reason, he did something to me when he came out. His style.
I agree. He was probably my favorite vocalist of the era too.
Of that era. Era. He had a certain thing. Anyway, the you know, because most of his songs built up to a crescendo of some scream that changed, you know, tone and lasted a long time and had this real just got it out of you. It's like, God, yeah, it made you like the end of 18 in Life, or the end of I Remember You. You know, the big screams that he does. It's like there's so much emotion and it's so cool. Yeah. And then you go to the Palmer and you've been there all day long waiting at the doors, fucking to get in because Skid Row's going to be there.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck, and they let you, like, to the front of the stage. You know, and then Skid Row comes out and they fucking just half-ass everything. The guy's been playing 6 nights before
That's
that.
what the deal is, yeah.
But they're in a third market right now. He don't give a shit. He's out there. Them high parts come. He's like, "Wow, remember you?" And he's like, holds the mic out to the crowd instead of doing the big note.
Right.
And I'm like, what the fuck, motherfucker?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
pissed now. You know what I mean? I'm like, I came here to fucking hear you sing.
Yeah, I don't have money.
Exactly. I came here to see a spectacle.
Yeah.
A spectacle of rock and roll.
If you put it on your fucking record, you better do it live.
Yeah, right. And you know, that is a really tough decision. You know, some of these bands that were supposed to be live bands really were studio bands, and some of these studio bands really are live bands. You know, you go out and you can tell. You can tell the fucking wheat from the chaff, so to speak, and see which people are the real fucking deal and which ones aren't.
There was a time that Queensryche was fucking all over it live.
Yeah.
When they're doing like Operation Live Crime, stuff like that. I mean, they're all over it. But how much of that do you think was really reproduced and was backing tracks? Because I know the drummer always had earbuds in. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I mean, it really depends a lot on what decisions they made in the production of the album itself. Because if you elect to do things in the studio that are either difficult or impossible to reproduce live, then you don't have any hope of doing it unless you use a backing track.
Okay.
I mean,
I was watching Ultimate Albums and they had Def Leppard on there, and my DVR is full of like stupid shit like this. So that like my buddy that I know that may or may not smoke pot, at the end of the day.
So which one of us is he talking about? Which one of us? Which one of us?
He likes to come over and watch my classic albums and watch my wife play on Facebook on her phone because she can give two shits. You know what I mean?
Right.
Only if nothing else is on TV, I'm like, can I please watch something now? Like, yeah, okay, Ultimate Albums, you know what I mean? Or something like that. Or, porn. But, so I put that on and I'm watching it, and they, that record when they were recording it, that super produced Pyromania, which I was never a fan of, to be honest with you. I like When You Make Love. I love that song. I thought that was a good song.
That's Hysteria.
I'm sorry.
By the way, and yes, big
Hysteria.
difference for me because I like Def Leppard Pyromania and I hate Def Leppard Hysteria.
I didn't like it when it came out. I'm down with it now, except for Pour Some Sugar on Me and I'm
Everybody, the normal average Joe assimilates the word Def Leppard with big hair rock band, one of the biggest bands there was, and they cannot do it live. And they sat there in this show and said, we have no sequencing in our live show at all. And they played some of their shit, and it was like, down there, digga-doo-doo. That background, like, it's like really 4 guys are fucking making that sound. Bullshit.
Yeah, bullshit.
Yeah, you just bold-faced lied to everybody because that is canned like a motherfucker.
Yeah, right.
So, and the drummer's hitting a pad that's like hitting
Making
that sample.
sound, right.
And
but I mean,
we never can any vocals. Bullshit.
Bullshit.
Are you okay with them coming out and then going to see that or do you want to see the without the sequencing and all that stuff?
Yeah, would you rather?
I want to hear it like the record,
right?
And I understood when I heard the record that there was a whole bunch of just fuckery going around.
Yeah,
it was there were some tricks, like what you said with the cigar. It's
exactly.
Magic, son.
Magic, kid.
I sounded like Richard or Groucho Marx when I did my. I was like, hey, this is magic,
right. Except for you're smoking a joint. What the fuck is that? But no, you gotta have a big old cigar, kid. And here's what we're gonna do: is we're gonna play these seventh chords. You're gonna play them one note at a time, and we're gonna multi-track it.
Oh shit! What does that say at the bottom of the computer right there?
Wireless network connection is now connected.
Oh, well, fuck. We don't care about that.
Doesn't it suck that the word now and the word not are like one letter different? Is it fucking not? Now? What
now?
the fuck
I was like, what the fuck did you just say? This computer over.
Yeah, right.
That's what I'm waiting for.
Right. Please press, escape for much computer happiness. Who fucking Japanese? What is this?
Yeah. See, and people don't understand when you're watching this. If you're cool enough to watch this fucking show, which I know you are, welcome to the show. But there's all kinds of shit that could go wrong, and like the audio could just shut off, and we'll be. And then
it'll be like a Def Leppard concert.
Yeah, I'd have to go I'd have to go redo the you guys talking. I'd have to try to do Travis's voice. Hey, son, that's all magic, son.
That actually might be kind of good.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'd have to watch your lips and do Jeff's voice. Yeah, man, I went to go. I can't do your voice. I don't know how to do your voice. I don't know how to do your voice. But I'd be fucked. What characters would I come up with? I would obviously sound like this. Yeah. Everything I say would be super interesting and masculine. And then Jeff would come in with, I kind of like the new Jake E. Lee record. And then...
and Travis come in and they all like that.
Yeah.
and a couple occasional farts from your end of the table.
Exactly. Yeah. I am down in these beers, and I did have a big Mexican dinner, so... There
Travis goes, I got to take a leak. And he said, I might pee so hard I might fart, so don't laugh at me if I'm in here. And me and my wife were like, I love this guy.
And you even kind of softened the blow. I don't even think that was the correct verbiage. I think I even said something like, oh, I have to pee, and it's gonna be so hard that I will fart. I mean, I was absolutely sure of the fact going in. But I think I do that. It's a habit at this point. I do that to actually sort of shield myself against the possibility of being embarrassed by people knowing stuff that that happens, maybe that I do, that I'd rather just get out ahead of it. That's my political strategy. You know what I mean? Just get out ahead of the issue, man. I may shit my pants. I just want to let you know that it's a possibility.
It may or may not happen.
I may throw up all over this table, and I may wet myself. You may have to steam clean these carpets. I'm sure steam cleaning is probably not the best way. You're the expert, not me. You know what I mean? So
I steam everything. It's my answer for everything. My kid gets fucking cold, I steam her. Come here.
Daddy, steam my hair. Fucking trauma and shit. She's gonna be talking about it in therapy 30 years from now. So let's talk about it.
Who's doing that?
Oh, that's me.
The wife went you home?
Probably. Yes.
I wanted to do that with Dive Bomb too. Write an original song to had lyrics that were similar to this. I don't have it memorized right now, but an original song like, we're gonna fucking rock all night, and we're gonna fucking party. And it's like Steel Panther.
Right.
As long as the wives say it's okay. You know what I mean? Just so it's got that
put our
fun.
phones on vibrate, and then totally feign ignorance.
I didn't hear it, man. Edit that out. Edit that out, Paul. Edit that out.
Yeah. No. What is this? MCR, Midlife Crisis Radio. Where are we at?
You motherfucker.
I know.
There's probably 20 people laughing at that right now.
Oh, yeah.
What?
That's the funniest thing I heard all night.
Yeah, MCR. Did you want to promote any more stuff?
I want people to check that out.
Do the 1152 thing too. When's that CD release for 1152? I want people to go check this out. I want the house to be packed for 1152 when they do the release.
Saturday, April 19th at Rascals. 1152 CD release party.
It's going to be kick ass. I guarantee it. This band is definitely on the rise. They're a fucking good band. Right. Listen, as high as I was to be doing that show at the iWireless with a lot of my heroes, Rat was there, and I got to meet Stephen Piercy and Warren DeMartini and a lot of my heroes, Sebastian Bach. Just to be near them, to me, I was still getting that like, oh my God, that's fucking Sebastian Bach. You know what I mean? And he's standing right there. Should I say something? And of course I did, and it didn't come out that great. And then I'm like, hey, my way in, I've got a beautiful wife, and she's pregnant right now. I could go up to him and say, hey, Sebastian, my wife is too scared to come say something to you. Will you take a picture with her? She's pregnant, And so he's like, sure. And he goes over to her and he like does this pose like this, you know what I mean? And then I'm like fumbling with the camera and the knob's all twisted. It's on like auto, or it was on auto, but now it's on like manual or aperture or something. And I'm like, they won't go off. I'm like, go. And there's no flash. And he's going, posing over and over, posing. And finally, after 3 shots, I got like 3 completely blurry, fucked up pictures of her with Sebastian Bach. So, it's like, fuck. I'm telling you, my run-ins with famous people never goes well. Yep. Never, ever.
There's just too much riding on it, man.
Well, actually, with Stephen Piercy, it was okay. I made him laugh. That was cool, because he was in catering. He was sitting in there trying to have a salad in peace, and he's probably hoping that the local support didn't come in there when he was eating. He was the only one in there, and I was like, that's Stephen Piercy. And I'm like, let's go look at what they got to eat in here. And peeking over at him and like, wow.
So what was your
And we're all whispering like, this looks good. This fettuccine, that's Stephen Piercy. You know what I mean? And like, he's like going, fuck.
How did you talk to him, though? I mean, what did you do?
Fuck. Yeah. And so I'm looking at the cookies, and Jerry Smith, my bass player, didn't give a shit. He was like getting a paper bag full of their cupcakes because they were delicious. And he's like, I don't give a fuck who that is. I'm taking these cupcakes back to the dressing room. Anyway, so he was sitting there, and I just kind of went, all right, just do it. Just do it. Because it's better if you just do it.
Right.
And I was like, so did you guys fly in or drive in? Because I know that some of the bands are behind on schedule, or, because they drove. Did you drive or fly? He's like, well, we chartered a private jet for this one. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, man, I chartered my own private Trailblazer. and that's what he did. That's what he did.
He put the fork down. He started laughing.
Yeah, and then he was like, back to his fucking phone or whatever. And he's like,
you're such a child.
That was good, kid.
And what people remind me of, though, is like Tony from Serious Hollies talking about being on tour. He said, what you don't understand is when they're on tour, they want you to talk to them sometimes, because sometimes they don't have anybody to talk to for a majority of the day other than their band members, and it's cool to talk to somebody that's just going to talk to them and have a little bit of that outlet, so that instead of me going, hey, so like how'd you come up with the lyrics to Back for More, you know what I mean? What were you thinking, man? You're still cool. Can I touch you?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right. Shit, Jesus Christ, you're fucking cool. Fuck. That's totally it too, man.
It's like,
you don't want to be like that.
You're like totally Stephen Piercy and stuff, man.
Yeah, wow.
Remember the time you did that Wanted Man video?
Man.
Like, I like that when you got off the bus and it was in like like you were in a southern, like, western town. It was awesome. And then you were like, 'cause I am like that.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Mm-hmm. I probably would have asked him something about Milton Berle.
Yeah, how'd you get him?
Dude. Right.
When Warren DeMartini came out, I was like, what do I say? I like that solo that you did,
right?
Because I don't know him. What am I going to talk about?
I really appreciate your use of the ring finger on these solo to lay it down. What do you fucking say?
Yeah.
Hey, you're really cool. I think you're cool. And it's cool that we're cool together, and that I'm cool, and that you're cool, and everybody's cool. This is just so cool.
Can I take a picture?
All right, let's think about who the luckiest rock star in the world would be. And to me, if you could go through whoever's life and be this rock star, if you could think of who you would, if you won the lottery and they said, okay, you can go back in time and live from 18 to 30 years old being this person.
Oh yeah.
Who would it be?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would probably have to say Elvis Presley.
Really?
Oh yeah, I'd be Elvis Presley, no doubt about it.
You think?
Yep.
Why?
I think it is because since he was really sort of the guy that broke the entire phenomenon, his run at it really was probably the cleanest. The business hadn't really like totally fired up on all cylinders yet in order to completely take advantage of him and ass rape him, financially and spiritually. So he really had a lot more control over his career and a lot more control over what he did from day to day, and could,
Yeah, that's real nice. I'd have been Tommy Lee because I'd have fucking been a millionaire and fucking had a huge dick. You know what I mean?
And then
all the groupies you can handle and a huge dick.
Yeah,
and then when your video gets leaked, it's not like he was like bummed. He's like, damn it. You know, everybody.
No.
He's like,
I don't give a
put
shit.
that shit out. I don't care. Yeah, which pisses me off. It pisses me off when guys have huge dicks like that because it just and they're rock stars.
Yeah, right.
And they're good looking, and your wife, is trying to act like she's not impressed. She's like, yeah, but he's kind of skinny. It's like, no, what you want to say is, damn, he's got a huge dick.
Really?
You know what I mean? So don't bullshit me.
Exactly.
So
fucking bullshit me.
Which reminds me, sometimes when
I'm sure you were thinking about how skinny his thighs are when he was fucking bottoming out.
Yeah. Yeah, but that can't be fun. I mean, if you had a dick that was so big that you couldn't get, some guys complain about that. There's some people that are like, I don't like it because I can't get it all the way in there. You know what I mean? And then for them, they want to get it in there, but they can't because the girl, it hurts and all this bullshit.
Key for every lock, a lock for every key. I mean, you got to be in the right situation, man.
So
if you really want to get paranoid, you try to listen for how low the note is of the piss stream going into the water, because the lower the note is, that means the more the greater fucking diameter of the urethra.
We used to think
got
that
a giant fucking piss stream,
because the guy that had the loudest horse piss in our band was Jerry Smith, and me and Terry used to sit back and go like, Jesus Christ, how big is that thing? Because we don't go back there and be like. Right. And you go back, there's like, you know what I mean? It's like fucking the toilet's flushing itself twice. You know what I mean? and then he comes back in. He's wearing sweatpants too, and we're kind of trying not to look, but you can kind of tell in sweatpants. Exactly. We're like, you got a horse cock, man? And he's like, no, why? I'm like, you liar.
Whatever, dude.
Anyway.
He shook his dick in there, and it looked like the splatter pattern of somebody getting stabbed.
Oh, man. What are we talking? Why are we talking about dicks?
I don't know, dude.
So
what did we learn from today's episode of Minor Disturbance Radio? Did we learn anything? Is there a point to any of this?
Probably not.
Yeah, we learned to tune in next time so we can talk more about balls and cocks and gay and all that stuff.
I'm quite certain you're going to edit all of it out.
But I really do enjoy these podcasts where we don't really do anything but just kind of shoot the shit. And I enjoy these because I get it all out of my system in a way,
Exactly.
And then, the next show we can get back to playing some more local music and kind of having a little bit more of that in the format. But I like these loose conversations that we're having right here. So.
Well, yeah, you'll be able to approach the world with a calm, calm feeling now.
Yeah.
You're not pent up anymore. You've released all the demons.
It's all done.
Brian's exorcism right here.
Yep. I feel a lot better. So anyway, Minor Disturbance Radio, wrapping up episode 12. I guess check us out for number 13. Ooh, episode 13 has got to do something special for that.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for listening and come back.
Hell yeah.